attitude is fantastic. You kids getting a bit out of this? Because the things that he is saying to me are their gold. There's lots of nuggets there that you can take and use for yourself. And it's not all about winning. It's just about, as he said, fulfilling your dreams, what you want to do, and being on your path to being the real you and the person you want to be. It can be in any direction. And the sort of the application, the dedication, the visualization, and the attitudes, what achieves success in anything. Doesn't matter what field it is.
You're spot on. I mean, for me, it's always been set a goal that seems very unattainable, and then make smaller goals to get there, and make sure you can have daily wins. You know, like, gosh, I got 2 waves where my goal was to make 3 turns to the beach, in waves that only allow 2 turns to the beach. Like, that's how I'm structured in my head. Having little wins carry to the next one, and then before you know it, you're all of a sudden at a level that, you know, a month ago or 2 months ago, or maybe it's 6 months, you're like, gosh, like, I can't imagine actually getting here, you know? You break down the process so much. I think that's really, and you can apply that to anything. Schoolwork, any sports, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be surfing, but in this case, it's that for me is like something that I know that the better I get at small wave surfing, the better I'll get at big wave surfing. It applies. The best, if you look at it, the best big wave surfers ever have always been good in small waves. You know, especially now. You know, like the paddling guys, like, you got to be able to rip small waves.
We saw you on Instagram throwing a few backflips in the snow too.
Yeah, I love snowboarding. You know, snowboarding is a huge inspiration for toe-in surfing. I figure if those guys can do it on a scary, giant 10,000-foot mountain in Alaska, I could probably do it off of a 50-foot wave. You know, it's like, I think what they do is actually more scary oftentimes. Yeah.
For me, you know, watching your Instagram, it's super entertaining, and it's so inspirational, and there's such variety in there. For these kids, what part does that play for you, the social media, and using that as a tool to promote you, your brand, what you do? It obviously seems like a very powerful thing.
I think social media is very powerful, especially if you're trying to become a professional athlete, because what you put out there, you can make yourself, you can feel how you want to be put out there, you know? Whereas I think in the past, it wasn't as much work as it is now, because part of being a pro athlete is about presenting yourself, and, you know, presenting yourself well is what sponsors would like, you know? But at the same time, it's also good not to get too stuck in it. You know, like, for me, I think if I wasn't a professional athlete, I probably wouldn't have to post, or I wouldn't want, like, it's really about, you know, staying true to your path, because it's really easy to get on social media and be like, oh, someone's better than me, or I'm missing out over here, and like, my stuff isn't good enough, you know? It's like, you can get absorbed in that, and it's okay to look at it and get inspired, but it's good not to let it be like a downer too.
No one's posting the bad days.
No one's posting about it.
I just had a fight with the wife, and the garbage got spilt by the dog, and, you know, that's all the good stuff. And you look at people's lives and you think, yeah, their life's so wonderful, but everyone's got their challenges.
Yeah, you're absolutely. So it's just good to remember to, like, look inward, you know? Look inward in yourself, and that's like, as soon as you start looking outward, you start exposing yourself to the negativities and stuff that bring you down, and it's really, I think, what gets you out of those slumps is having those little goals that you can win every day and feel like a champion, you know? It's just feeling like one is what it's all about.
Okay, let's throw it out to the crowd. If anyone's got a question for Kai, yes?
Have you ever surfed Nazare?
Yeah, so I've surfed Nazare 3 times, and it's usually for the Big Wave World Tour, and then I'll stay a couple days afterwards or come early and surf it, and that was so scary. Just imagine what we were surfing today, but like times 100. And getting caught inside is a horrible feeling, and it happens like every session. I go out there thinking, yep, I'm gonna get smoked. Absolutely smoked, at least once, you know? If you're not getting pounded out there, you're probably not catching waves. The thing is if you're not catching waves, you're probably gonna get caught inside. So you might as well catch a wave and fall, because it's gonna happen anyway, you know? It's really scary, but it's fun. It's like, it's totally the opposite of Jaws. But in its own way, it's a very special place, and I've grown to like it. The first time I went there, I'm like, this place is too scary, man. Yeah, I was just like, it's just such an intense place. You know, every big wave's intense, but Nazare has like, yeah, and it's just not organized. There's no, what's a channel out there? It's pretend channel. You kick out and there's a bigger one coming right at you and you're like, oh man. You always need a jet ski there, that's for sure.
How big is the biggest wave you've caught?
You know, I'm not sure. Probably the biggest wave I caught was that Jaws wave this year. The that one I was telling you about at 1 o'clock, and it's entered into the XXL award, so I hope they measure it properly. And I hope they don't call it too small, you know? It's probably like bigger than what they're gonna say, but it felt big. I think at a certain point, if it feels big, it's probably a pretty big wave.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What's the longest time you've been held down for?
I've been held down for, you know, the longest hold downs have been like minute long, and drag at Jaws especially. Jaws has been my worst wipeouts, and I've had my worst, not my one of my best sessions with the worst wipeouts. I had 3 hold downs that were 1 minute long on 3 separate waves, all within 5 waves, like kind of intermixed there. And I mean, it's a long time being underwater for a minute, but like on video we review it later, and it's like, you know, 102, 58, 57, and then like you're just, the best thing when you're underwater for that long is just to completely relax. And what I do is try to remove myself from the moment. I just kind of retreat into my mind and just like visualize somewhere else, you know, like or have like a small goal. Like one thing I relied on a lot was stacking Legos and building a bridge with different colors. Like in my head, I would just be like, okay, yellow brick, and blue brick, and green brick, there's a red one, and you build like a pattern. And when you do that, time goes by like that quick. And before you know it, you're up. You know, you're like, oh, that was over. You know, like, I wasn't bad. Like, there's a way to remove yourself, and your body can handle it. Well, I train my body to handle it, you know? It's like, I wouldn't be out there if I didn't think my body could handle it. My favorite surfer growing up, it was like, because it was in my backyard, I was always looking up to Laird Hamilton, Dave Kalama, and those guys. I was really into Tom Carroll. Like Tommy was like the man to me, just because he would send it and he would just rip super hard at pipe. And Kelly, of course, you know, Kelly Slater black and white movie, that was huge. Andy Irons was like someone, I mean, it was hard to like know which one I liked, because when you're a kid, you're like, but they're competing against each other. It's like, I want both of them to win and I want to stay neutral, but always a Kelly fan growing up too. And I've always taken a lot of inspiration from a lot of different guys, especially if I got to meet them. And you know, I've met a lot of those guys when I was younger, and now I get to hang out with them, but they totally don't remember when they met me the first time. And it's kind of funny, you know, it's like, they were always super nice. Yep.
Do you ever get scared when you're under the water?
I try not to like let myself get scared. Like, yeah, I'm usually scared, but I try to just stay really calm. Because as soon as you let that fear get a hold of you and you panic, then the experience is way worse. And you're like, it just becomes not as fun.
Yes, ma'am.
How old were you when you decided to surf on big waves?
One of my earliest memories growing up was like going to the cliff at Jaws and watching it, going, one day I'm gonna be down there. So really, since I was probably like 4 or 5 years old, I just remember like going, one day I'm gonna go down there. I didn't know what I wanted. All I know is I wanted to be there.
Yep.
Is there any big swells that you didn't get to stay there, but wish you were there?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, that last Hurricane Oma, right? It was like, yeah, that one, the Gold Coast is insane. I was like, oh, I wish I was there. I had to do, just recently, like a month ago, I did this kind of tow event. We did this tow event on North Shore of Oahu, and anytime Jaws is breaking and I'm not there, it's like, I feel gutted. Because it's like such the ultimate playground that doesn't happen that often. And I got word from home that not one person went out that day. And it was 25 foot, like 50 foot faces. And I was just like, oh man, that could have been me. But you know, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices and stuff. And I told myself I'm not gonna sacrifice Jaws anymore though.
Have you ever been caught in the death zone in Nazaré?
Every time I go there, every session I almost get blown onto the rocks or the sand, and you learn to love it. It's weird. It's a little, like you get a good wave and you're okay with kind of like getting smoked a little bit. But yeah, Nazare, it's every session.
You've got to learn to love it, I suppose. You've got to be okay with it, right?
You gotta at least pretend. And if you pretend long enough and hard enough, you convince yourself. Yeah, it becomes a reality. But it's not like you really want to go through it.
Gentleman back.
If you could, would you prefer to get wiped out on a takeoff or a severe paddle out?
My goal in big wave surfing is there's a few things I'll never do when I'll never fall. Like that I've made kind of like a pact with myself. I'll never fall on the drop, and I'll never fall trying to bottom turn, or like, you know, it's always, the only time I'm gonna allow myself to fall is if I'm trying a maneuver I haven't done, it's really technical and I still have to go through the motions, and or if it's being in a barrel and it's very unpredictable. But a lot of times if I paddle for a wave and I commit to a drop, I'm putting 100% effort into making it. Oftentimes I would say falling on a drop is worse than getting caught inside, because when you get caught inside you can just sit there and wait, and you know it's gonna happen, and you can breathe up, you know, and you can kind of focus and find your calm. But when you paddle in, you're paddling and you're using all your energy, you stand up and your heart is pumping because it's a scary drop, and then you fall and you don't have that oxygen in you, you know, it's like, I think it's a little more critical than, but seriously, nothing's worse feeling than getting caught inside. Like visually it's stunning. You're just like, oh man. And in that moment, no one could save you. You just wish Superman existed so he could come down and swoop you.
Or you had the oxygen going.
Or you were tied to a helicopter and it could fly you away.
Where's my kite when I need it?
Where's my kite? Oh man.
What breath hold training do you do?
It's, for me, breath hold training's never been about how long I can hold my breath, but how comfortable I can feel over like a certain amount of time. So like over a 2-minute time underwater, doing like movements and stuff, usually drains your oxygen. But if you can feel comfortable doing that, one program I actually was doing was Mark Visser's Ocean Warrior course, and he's from here in Australia and legend big wave surfer. But it's actually super cool because really what I do is try to like get in a pool, Olympic size swimming pool. So you let all your air out, you dive under and you swim across the pool, and you swim with no air in your lungs as calmly as you can. Not as fast as you can, just as calmly. And then you hold your breath on the other side for a little bit, and then you come up and you do like intervals like that. And what that teaches you is, because it's very uncomfortable, it teaches you how to like just stay calm underwater. And that's what matters. You know, you're never gonna have a wipeout longer than a minute. And if you do, you're probably knocked out. And at that point, being comfortable underwater, it teaches you how to close your airways, and that stuff just comes with time, like getting in bigger waves and learning what you need.
Yes.
Who first taught you to surf?
My mom and dad were the first ones to take me surfing and teach me. So I owe it to them. I owe everything to them because they lined the path for me. I'm so fortunate. So be grateful for your mommy and daddy.
Yes, bud?
Have you ever surfed ship stands?
I haven't surfed ship sterns, but I'm on the list to do the Red Bull Cape Fear event that happened a couple years ago. They moved it to ship sterns. So waiting on the call. I would love to go there. I just haven't had the chance to go there, and it'd be great. You know, it looks super scary, but I think one good wave where I can hit a stair and maybe do a 360 down it, that'd be cool.
He'll be hopping all over those ledges, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the most critical waves that you surfed?
I think the most critical waves that I've ever surfed was either at Cloud Break on a really, really big wave, or at Jaws. Just because they're really hollow barreling waves that the drops are always super steep and there's a lot of bump and your heart's in your throat, and then once you get to the bottom, the whole wave is lined up in front of you. You got a bottom turn, and then you got to see the whole ocean folding over you, and you got to just stay calm and not panic. You know, just kind of stand there and enjoy the view for a second and read the wave. Like Jaws for me is probably the most technical, hard wave to surf really well. Cloud Break's hard because it's so scary because it's stretched out and it always looks like it's going to close out. And when you're in the barrel, you're in for so long, you're reading the lip line, and nothing worse than getting lipped in the head on a big wave because you feel like you could just take your head clean off. But those two waves have always been very technical.
Have you
No, I've never surfing. I've never gotten knocked out or felt that I was like. I've never felt like I was gonna drown or I never felt like I was gonna die in big waves. Like I've never had that experience where this is it. And I think it's because I've spent so much time focusing on the preparation that feeling that way seems unacceptable. You know, it's just like, no, I mean, as soon as you accept that, that could be your fate. But for me, that's no. If I do get knocked out, I won't know it. You know, I might get a board in the back of the head, and I do everything I can to prevent that. Like cover my head, and I'm always pretty aware where my board is. But the variables in big waves is pretty. There's a lot of them, so anything can happen, and I don't take any of that like out of the case scenario. But I do, in as far as it goes in my mind, I won't accept it. Because it's for fun. It's not for, you know, drowning.
Yeah. Tyson?
Hi, what's the longest barrel you've ever got?
I don't know. That's interesting. Like in general or in big waves?
In general.
In general? You know what? Actually, it's probably been on a big wave, and it was at Cloudbreak, the last big day on May 28th last year. Tim right here got a good shot of it. I got towed into this wave really deep, and you know, Cloudbreak's a long reef, but when it's really big, it breaks farther out, and it goes farther past the tower through shish kebabs. And I remember towing into this wave. It wasn't the biggest one ever, but I remember being in the barrel so long, I had time to kind of look around and kind of take it all in. I'm like, oh, this is a really big barrel, and shockwave is coming up, and I'm like, I feel like I can reach out and touch the lip. You know, it's like so long in the barrel. I'm like, am I ever coming out of this thing? And I don't know how long it was really, like in seconds, but that one, when you have enough time to kind of just look around and there's a lot of space and the wave's so perfect, I think that's when you know it's a long barrel. Cloudbreak's given me the longest barrels of my life, like on really big waves and small waves too.
Well, I know everyone's still got some questions, and if we keep going, we'll be here all night. I think we've had a great chance to get to know Kai and understand how and why he is so successful, and it would seem to me the lesson for me is that so much of what he does, it isn't just like fluky talent. It's not just a physical thing. He has used his mind and used his brain and used everything that he has got and focused it in such a way and with such determination and desire that he's actually created his dreams. He's made his dreams come true, and he's living those dreams.
I think on a closing note, that when I was growing up, I never felt like I was the most talented kid. If anything, I felt like I had the least amount of talent of all my friends. And what I relied on was working really hard, and sometimes working hard is difficult because you have to have a certain belief to like put in the work. And what I've learned though is like you set a goal and you just work really hard at it, and you don't give up on it, and you take away what everyone else is doing, and you kind of just focus on yourself. You go a lot farther than you think. And I do feel like I'm a product of if I can do it, and I'm here, you know, getting interviewed by Byron Lynch and, you know, surfing with some of the best surfers in the world, you know, in Australia. Like, if I can be in this position, I feel like anyone can be. So just believe in yourselves. You know, that belief, even if you have to fake it a little bit. Like, I'm believing myself, but I don't really believe myself. If you believe it long enough, you'll start to feel it. So keep that in mind. If you work really hard, and if it's hard at first, and you know, you see everyone getting better, you can get there. It might take a little longer, but look, if I'm doing the stuff I'm doing, you can do it too, for sure.
And, you know, honestly, I feel exactly the same way. You know, I grew up with Tom Curran, Tom Carroll, Mark Ottalupa around you, and there was enormous talent all around you, and I didn't feel as good as those guys either. And I had to work my little butt off to make sure that I fulfilled what I wanted to do and got a little chance to live my dream too. And so I suppose we both sit here with that exact same principle that, you know, for any of you kids in the audience, the opportunity is there for everyone with application, dedication, desire, and you put everything you've got into it, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be surfing, it could be anything. You know, whatever you feel, whatever you're passionate about, you apply yourself like that, like Kai has illustrated to us tonight, and you might get to live those dreams too. And you know, that's what we hope for you guys.